Hello everyone. In this lecture, we'll be learning about comprehensions. Now, comprehensions are basically of two types: list comprehension and dictionary comprehension. So in the first place, what is a comprehension? It is nothing but an amalgamation of the data structures. We'll be using list and dictionary as the data structures here, and loops. So basically, a combination of data structures and loops forms the comprehension. While we use lines of codes in loops, we can use a comprehension instead, which is a one-liner code. So we'll be seeing how do we use that and what are their benefits. Now note one thing, for a beginner, comprehension might seem a bit intimidating, but that's really okay, because as we move forward, trust me, you will be using comprehensions more than loops. So that said, let's understand each and everything in detail. So first, we'll start with the list comprehension. Now let's understand this through a problem. So our problem statement here is, we need to get a list of numbers which are divisible by 15. So this is something we have already done using the filter function, right? In the previous lecture. So it's filter, not filter. Anyway. So now moving forward, we need to understand one important factor. Coding or programming is quite like mathematics. There is a simple problem, or a problem, not a simple problem, there is a problem, and we need to solve this, right? So to solve this problem, it might be a simple or complex problem. There are n ways of solving a problem. Someone might take this particular route, another might choose this route instead, and someone else might want to choose this particular route. So it doesn't really matter which route you take until you till you solve the problem, right? Similarly, this particular problem statement can be solved using n number of ways. So the first way was filter, that we have already learned in the previous lecture. We'll also see how we can solve this using loops, and again we can also solve this using comprehension. Again, this can also be solved by other simple methods as well. So that is something you should note, and there is no problem that if you choose any other method. Personally, if this was a problem given to me, I would have gone with the list comprehension method. Someone else might like the filter method, someone else might choose some other method, so it depends from person to person. It's okay until you get the result correct, right? All right. So moving to the problem, let's understand how we solve this one. So we have this dummy list containing numbers which are divisible by 15 as well as numbers which aren't. We have also taken another list, that is a blank list called result. And now what we are doing is we are writing a loop for I in this list. If I is divisible by 15, please append this to the result list, else continue. And by this method, we are getting all the digits or numbers that are divisible by 15, right? Now, what does list comprehension? Hope you understand this particular thing, how it works. It's pretty simple loop. Now, how does list comprehension work? So for list comprehension, this entire loop has been shortened to just one line of code. And this is, again, this is the entire code. The total has been shortened to this just one line of code. Now let's understand how. So what I've done here is, I've taken result is equal to a list, right? Result is equal to a blank list. And now, instead of writing a loop and appending it, what I'm doing is, in this blank list, I'm writing this blank list will contain I. Now, how do we define this I? is I is all those numbers, right, which are divisible by 15. That's what was asked to us. So how do we take it, right? Let me do it in a good manner. Yeah, so this is how it's done, right? So in this list, I'm taking I, rather all the i's which are divisible by 15. And how do we do that? We loop it through the list. For I in num list, if I is divisible by 15. Do you get it? So what we do, take I for I in this particular list, if I modulus 15, that is the remainder of 15, is equal to 0. In other words, if I is divisible by 15. So we take all the i's which are divisible by 15 in this particular list. And that is how we get the exact same list containing all the numbers divisible by 15. So I hope you get how the loop is turned into a single line of comprehension, right? For I in num list, so that's what I've written for I in num list. If I modulus 15 equal to 15, right? Result dot append I. So that's what I've done, I, right? Else continue. So it is taken into account by comprehensions. All right. Now, what if I wanted to add two elements, right? If I wanted to add two elements, not only one pointer I, if there were two pointers I and j. So even that can be done using comprehension. So take this for example. It is asked that print a letter and number pair for each of the letters A, B, C and each of the numbers 0, 1. So what is essentially asking us to do is print something like this, A0, right, inside a tuple, then A1, right, then A2, no, A0, A1, right, that would be the thing. After that, B0, B1, then comes C0, C1, right, C0, C1. Pardon my handwriting. So that's something we should get inside a list. So let's understand how do we get it. So what I've done is I've taken a blank list, li, and I've taken two values in the form of a tuple, right? I, comma, j in the form of tuple. Now, what are these I and j? For I in ABC, so I should iterate from A, B and C, right? And j in the range 2. Range 2 means 0 and 1 in -1, if you remember how the range operates. So j would take the values 0 and 1. Now, if you understand nested loop, the concept of nested loop, we had already done that. Then you would understand that I is the super loop, right? The outer loop, not the super loop, but the outer loop. So for A, j would occur twice, 0 and 1, and therefore we will get the value A0, A1. Again, then I would shift to B, and we'll get the value B0, V1. Again, I would shift to C, and we get the values C0 and C1, and that's how the output has came out. A0, A1, B0, V1, C0, C1, right? If you did not quite understood this, let me use the loops and make you understand using the proper loop method. So let's say for I in ABC, right? That's what we have done. Print I. So we should get A, B and C, and that's exactly what we are getting. But we also have another loop J, right? Which loops from the range 2 up to range 2 for J in range 2, right? Now what we need to do is print I comma j. And here we get A0 A1, B0 B1, C0 C1. If you want it to be in the form of a tuple, simply put a tuple sign over there, and we just get in the form of a tuple A0 A1, B0 B1, C0 C1. So that's how we actually get this particular output. Now, if you want to also go ahead and add it inside a list, and nothing, we just need to declare a blank list as such, li equals to, and here we just need to do okay. So what we need to do is li dot append I comma j, right? Hopefully our problem will be solved, right? So that's the exact output that we are getting. So instead of writing this entire lines of codes, we could complete it using this one line. Okay. So hope you got the basic understanding of how list comprehension works, right? Now we'll be moving to dictionary comprehension. So what is a dictionary comprehension? Very similar to that of list comprehension. And let's then see how it operates using some examples. So what happens over here is we are required to get the dictionary of odd numbers that are present in the given list, that is this particular list, as keys and their values as cubes. All right, so that is quite an interesting problem. So basically this is a two-step problem. Step one, we need to figure out, or we need to filter all the odd numbers from the list, which would essentially be 1, 3, and 5, right? These are the odd numbers. And it should be contained in a dictionary where the keys would be these odd numbers and their cubes would be the values, right? 3 cube is 27 and 5 cube is 125, right? So this should ideally be the output. So let's see how do we do that. So the first thing that we do is using loops, and then we'll understand how do we do that using a dictionary comprehension. So what I've done is, for I in num list, if I %2 is not equal to 0, what does this mean? So if I divided by 2, when I divided by 2 does not give 0 as the remainder, that is, it gives some remainder, then only take the value of I, which is correct, because if I is divisible by 2, it becomes an even number, and we are required to find the odd number. So odd numbers are those numbers which, when divided by 2, leaves some remainder, and that is what exactly I have done. If I divided by 2 does not leave 0 as a remainder, that is, leaves some remainder, then go forward. So what do you do then? Result of I, result is basically a dictionary. Remember, this is not a set, this is a dictionary. So result of I, that is, I becomes the key then, equals to I cube. So this becomes the value then. And this is how we get the output. 1, 1, 3, 27, 5, 125, right? Now this can easily be done using, so all these lines of code can be replaced by, again, a single line, which is this particular line. What does it say? So result equals to a blank dictionary, that's what I've taken. And inside it, I've taken I as the key and I cube as the value, right? And now I define what is I and I cube. And I cube I really do not want to define, because if I define I, automatically I cube is defined. I cube will be just the cube of I. Now what is I? I is for I in num list, that is for I in this particular list. If I modulus 2 is not equal to 0. That is, if it is not even, if it is odd. And therefore, we get the output, the same output. So we see that using comprehensions, we can actually perform all these loops. We can eradicate usage of long loops and perform them in a single line. So that is the power of comprehensions. Now, one more important thing that we can do using dictionary comprehension. So let's say we got two lists, one containing the names of heroes, Batman, Spider-Man, and Wolverine, and another containing their real names. So Bruce Wayne is the name of Batman. Similarly, Peter Parker for Spider-Man, and Wolverine's name is Logan something. I forgot his actual name. Anyway, so what we need to do is we need to create a collection, a dictionary, wherein the name of the superhero, that is Batman, let's say, would be the key, and his real name, that is Bruce, will be, its values. Similarly, Spider-Man would be the key, and his real name, that is Peter, would be the value. Again, so on and so forth. So what we do over here, if you remember from the last sessions, we had learned the zip function. How do we zip two lists? Using the zip function. And when we do zip, we get a tuple containing the zeroth element, the zeroth indexed element inside a tuple. So that's what we'll get, Batman, Bruce. In the next tuple, we'll get Spider-Man, Peter, and so on and so forth, embedded inside a list, right? So exactly that's what I've done, printed it using a dictionary comprehension, noted. So we'll understand why and how this particular list tuple combination is converted to a dictionary. So what I've essentially done, just forget about this. For this particular part, for I, j in zip heroes, names. So it basically creates this particular data structure, tuples inside lists, right? And now I have embedded it inside a dictionary comprehension. I've used a dictionary comprehension, which is a blank dictionary containing I and j. For I and j in this. So I basically points to heroes, while j points to the names. And therefore, this dictionary comprehension in turn converts this tuple list pair into a dictionary containing all the i's as key, that is this as the key, and j as the names of the heroes. So I hope you get what I'm talking about. This particular I, j is a blank dictionary being converted into a dictionary comprehension, I, j. And what is all this i's and j in zip of heroes, names, that is like this. And now I is taking all the first values, while j is taking all the first values from the second values from the tuples. And this is how we get the entire list. The dictionary containing heroes as the key name and names as the values. All right. So this was all about comprehensions. And in the next lecture, we'll be learning about the inbuilt functions. These were all about custom functions. We'll be also learning about the inbuilt functions and a very important concept called recursion. Recursion is a very important topic, and we'll be understanding that in the next session. Right? I might have done some spelling mistake. We'll be checking the exact spelling in the next session as well. All right. So yeah, hope to see you in the next lecture. All right. Bye for now.